Hello, everyone. How are y'all doing? Good, good. So my name is Trevor Barrero. I am one of the members of Lineage Percussion. I live in Tucson, Arizona, so all the snow that y'all have been having is a little bit of a shock to the system. The three of us met at the University of Georgia. We were all juniors there in our undergraduate studies, and we formed our group Lineage Percussion. We were honored to come here and do the Fischoff competition, which was a blast. I'm going to introduce the other members. So we have Lauren Floyd over here. Lauren lives in Washington, D.C. She is the principal timpanist of the West Virginia Symphony, and then she plays with the National Symphony as well. We also have Wesley Sumter over here. Wesley lives out in Los Angeles, California. He plays regularly with the Los Angeles Philharmonic. He's done a lot of work. Has anyone seen the Disney movie Wish? Yeah, he did the soundtrack for that. He did the Transformers movie that just came out recently. All of us have done a lot of TV and movies. I used to be the principal percussionist at the Orlando Philharmonic in Florida. I played a lot at Disney World. I did stuff for Disney Plus with the Halle Bailey, the new Little Mermaid. I performed at Magic Kingdom stage a lot. And then Lauren has done some work with PBS as well. With the National Symphony. So we're all honored to be here today. We all have our own individual careers, but what we love the most is playing as a percussion trio, so playing chamber music. So I'm gonna let Wesley tell us a little bit about what percussion is.
All right, well, first off, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Good morning, everybody. Okay, great. Thank you so much for having us. So, the instrument group that we have up here are known as percussion instruments. Can you all say percussion? Percussion. One more time, percussion. Percussion. Great, so percussion instruments are instruments that you can either strike with your hand or a stick. You can either shake them or you can scrape them. So, I'm gonna take us through a couple of instruments that we have today. The first one here is a snare drum. Can everybody say snare drum? Snare drum. And it sounds like this with a drumstick. Right? Now, the next instrument we have here that Trevor's gonna play is known as the bells. Can you say bells? Bells. And they sound like this. Yeah, that's great. Now, we have some other sound effect, silly type of instruments that Lauren's gonna play. This one is called a slide whistle. Can you say slide whistle? Slide whistle. And it sounds like this. Yeah. Right? So they use that a lot in cartoons like Tom and Jerry. Well, some of you kids may not be old enough for Tom and Jerry. Ask your parents and grandparents about Tom and Jerry. It's great. Now, we have another instrument here. Can you say bike horn? Bike horn. And it sounds like this. Right? So back in the day, a lot of musicians used to use these on silent films, and Foley artists would use these to create soundtracks for different films. Like if someone's walking on screen, someone would literally be backstage doing this with a microphone. Kind of thing, tracking the steps, and the same thing with the different sound effects. Another instrument we have here is known as the vibraphone. Can you say vibraphone? Vibraphone. And it sounds like this. Oh, that's pretty cool, right? Now, we also have some very non-traditional / found sound instruments. Now, I have a question. Is this a percussion instrument? Well, what were the three requirements? Can I strike it? Yeah. Can I scrape it? Yes. Can I shake it? Yeah, but it doesn't make noise. The other two work out. So you're gonna see us use instruments like this. How about this? Is this a percussion instrument? Yeah. Can I shake it? Nothing. Can I strike it? Now can I scrape it? Yeah. And it does that, exactly. Right, so you're gonna see us use these different type of implements to make sound and make noise. Another one that we can use that all of you actually have to yourself. Everybody put up your hands. Clap after me. Great, so you all just became musicians. There you go. You don't need to go to music school. You have your degrees already, certified by me. Okay, now Trevor's going to take us through the different motifs or sounds that you're going to hear that represent each character that all three of us individually composed for Miss Nelson is missing.
So I'm curious, has anyone read the book Miss Nelson is Missing? Yeah, quite a few people actually. Oh, that's great. So we have three main characters in that book, and we're going to be acting out this story for you all today with some music, but the main character is Miss Nelson. She's the one that goes missing. And this is Miss Nelson right here. For those of you that read the book, can you raise your hand and maybe tell us, what is she like? What is she like as a person? Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, nice. That's a great adjective to describe Miss Nelson. Does someone else have another word? Yeah, do you have a word? Exactly, yes, yeah, and she does wear a pink dress. We may even see that pink dress today. We'll see. Someone else, yeah, do you have something? They did, yeah, the kids were mean to the teacher, huh? So, and because she was so nice, do you think she was kind? Yes, yeah, she was nice, she was kind. So what we did when we were thinking about this story and developing our percussion music to go along with the story is we wrote some motifs. Can you say the word motif? Motif. Yeah, a motif is basically a theme song for a character. So for Miss Nelson, when we're thinking about her, we're trying to think, well, what would music sound like if it was nice or kind, right? And that sounds a little bit like this. Do you agree that sounds nice? Thank you. So every time we mention Miss Nelson in the story, you're going to hear us play that little theme song or that motif about Miss Nelson. And that's in a major key. A major key is a very happy key. And with that, it sounds happy, it sounds kind. That's going to change over time, maybe as the students are mean to Miss Nelson, as you pointed out. We have another character, and this is one silly dude. He's my favorite character. His name is Detective McSmog. Does anyone remember Detective McSmog from the story? Can someone raise their hand and tell me, what is Detective McSmog like as a person? Yeah, do you know? That's totally right. Yeah, he's looking for Viola Swamp at the end, right? So he's kind of a curious guy. He's a detective. Raise your hand if you think he's a little bit silly. Yeah, I agree. He's a funny guy. He's kind of silly. He doesn't really do a great job at his job as a detective. So when I wrote the motif for Detective McSmog, I thought, well, how can I make some silly music? So Detective McSmog's motif sounds like this. Thank you. Yeah, we did a school show this week and they noticed that was kind of based on the Pink Panther a little bit for people that have seen that. Yeah, so Detective McSmog, that's his motif. So every time Detective McSmog comes into the story, we're going to hear that motif. Now we have one more character, our third character. Does someone want to raise their hand and say, who is this? Yeah, do you know who it is? It is. It's Miss Viola Swamp. And she is a mean teacher. She's pretty strict, huh? And in the book, they say that she hits the desk with a ruler. So whenever we hear Miss Viola Swamp, I bet she's going to have a ruler and hit the desk. So that will be her motif. But we have a lot of other music in the story today too, so I'll let Lauren tell us a little bit about that too before we get started.
Yeah, for those of you that have read the book, do you remember where the kids think Miss Nelson went? Yeah, back there. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, she got gobbled up by a shark. Isn't that crazy? But the cool thing is about in storybooks and with music is you can create a really cool scene in your head when we play the music or when you're reading a book. So what we did is we put that scene to some music by John Williams. Does anybody know who John Williams is? Okay, let me try this one. Do you know Harry Potter? All right. So John Williams was the composer of the Harry Potter films. So you actually know him a little bit more than you think you do. So for this one, for Jaws, he made a very scary 2-note melody. And when we do that scene, we're going to pretend to be very scary sharks with our hands like this. Oh, yeah, let me see him. Oh, I see some very scary sharks. Oh, there we go. Okay, yes, so when we get to that scene, please show me your shark fins. Okay, number 2, anybody remember where else they thought she went? Yes. Yeah, so did they take her car, the butterflies, they took her car up in the air? An angry swarm of butterflies? That's pretty crazy, right? You think butterflies could lift a car? I don't know.
Maybe.
We could see. Well, so for this one, what do you think butterflies would sound like? Yeah, right? They have really small wings, really small insect wings. So they're kind of a little bit quiet, but they're very excited and very fluttery. So for this one, I decided to use something called brushes. Now, you'll see these around a snare drum usually, but we can use these for all kinds of sound effects. So that sounds like this. Yeah, so, and they even actually look like a little bit of a butterfly wing, right? Or some cat whiskers. So we're going to use these during that butterfly scene. Now we want you guys to practice being butterflies as well. So, going to make your wings. You can do it however you want. Oh, beautiful. Yes, and you can be angry butterflies too. You kind of flutter around. Very good. Okay, there's one last scene where they think that Miss Nelson went. Anybody remember? Sure. Yes, outer space. Does anybody know there are planets here? Yeah. So Mars is the big red one. So there is a orchestral piece called The Planets by Gustav Holst, and Trevor arranged Mars for us to play as a trio. And you'll hear kind of an intergalactic scene, and we're going to pretend during that we're astronauts on space in zero gravity. So kind of move your hands and your arms. Yeah, like you're in zero gravity. Ooh, we got a lot of good astronauts in here. All right. Okay, so we can use all kinds of sounds and percussion instruments to make a really cool musical part of the story. And the last one is actually on all of your faces. It is your mouth. So in the percussion world, we can do things called vocal percussion, where we use words and we can set them to rhythm. So it's kind of like when you have hard words in your book and you're trying to spell them out and you count the syllables. So we can try one that's in this book. It's whisper.
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 Yeah. And the second one would be giggle.
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 Yeah, so when we get to that part of the story, we're actually going to use all of our mouths to make a vocal percussion piece. So you see that is pretty fun. All right, are you guys ready to go through Miss Nelson is Missing?
Yeah!
Okay.
This is the story of Miss Nelson is Missing by Harry Allard and James Marshall.
The kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. There were spitballs that were stuck to the ceiling. And in our version of the story, there were kids banging on buckets. There were paper planes that whizzed through the air. If you're in the front row, look under your seat. Do you see a paper airplane? Let's throw these at them. Should we do it? Let's do it on 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. Good job. They were, by far, the worst
settle down, children, settle down. Settle down, my children, please, settle down, settle down. Let us play a song.
But the class would not settle down.
They were being silly. They would whisper and giggle, and I bet in our version of the story, we can be really silly. And we're gonna make music just with our mouths. By whispering and giggling, they whisper. Whisper.
Whisper.
Whisper. Shh. Whisper.
Whisper.
If we speak louder, they shall hear our jokes.
Whisper. Shh. But look at that face he just made.
We have to
Whisper.
Sorry.
Giggle.
giggle,
Giggle.
whisper,
Whisper.
whisper,
Whisper.
whisper, whisper,
Whisper.
whisper,
Whisper.
whisper,
Whisper.
whisper,
Whisper.
whisper,
Whisper.
whisper,
Whisper.
whisper, 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 whisper,
Whisper.
giggle,
Giggle.
Giggling.
Giggle.
Giggling, giggling, giggle, 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 giggle,
Giggle.
giggle, 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 giggle,
Giggle.
giggle,
Giggle.
Giggle.
giggle,
Giggle.
giggle,
Giggle.
giggle,
Giggle.
giggle, 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 giggle,
Giggle.
giggling,
Giggle.
giggle,
Giggling.
Giggle.
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 They squirmed.
And made faces.
Ah.
They were even rude during story hour. And they always refused to do their lessons.
And if you've read the story, you remember, did Miss Nelson feel sad that they were misbehaving? I think so.
Something must be done. Ah, I have an idea. Maybe I won't come to class tomorrow.
You might remember, did Miss Nelson come back to school the next day? No, she didn't. But the kids were pretty happy about that. They said, wow!
Now we can really act up.
Today, let's just be terrible.
Not so fast. A woman in an ugly, and I mean ugly, black dress stood before me. I am your new teacher, Miss Viola Swamp.
Miss Viola Swamp?
Yes!
Where is Miss Nelson?
Never mind, Miss Nelson. I am your teacher now. So, open those arithmetic books.
Arithmetic?
Arithmetic.
Arithmetic books!
Miss Nelson's students will do as they are told.
They could see that Miss Swamp was a real witch. She meant business. Right away, she put them to work. And she loaded them down with homework.
Shut your mouths. Be very still. And if you disobey me, you'll be sorry.
The kids in room 207 had never worked harder. Days went by and there was no sign of Miss Nelson. They missed Miss Nelson. So do you think the music would be sadder? Yeah, let's see what it sounds like.
But the kids had an idea. Maybe we should go try to find her.
So where do you think they went to get some help? I think they went to the police. Now, Detective McSmog was on the case.
I'm Detective McSmog, and I know single-handedly I will solve the missing person case of Miss Nelson.
He listened to their story. He scratched his chin.
I know. Miss Nelson is missing.
Detective McSmog would not be of much help. Some of the students went to Miss Nelson's house. The shades were tightly drawn, and no one answered in the door. In fact, the only person they did see was the wicked Miss Viola Swamp coming up the street. If she sees us, she'll give us more homework. They got away
Just in time. They said maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson.
Maybe she got gobbled up by a shark.
You know what? I highly doubt that Miss Nelson was gobbled up by a shark.
Where do you think she went?
I wonder. Ah! I've got it. Since she's so far away, maybe she went outer space to Mars. Since space is so expensive to travel to these days, I highly doubt she's in space.
I know.
Oh, the know-it-all in the class knows where she might went. Maybe she went on a hike in the woods. Oh, and maybe her car got carried away by an angry swarm of butterflies.
But an angry swarm of butterflies seems the least likely to happen.
The kids in room 207 became very discouraged. It seemed that Miss Nelson was never coming back, and they would be stuck with Miss Viola Swamp. They heard footsteps in the hallway.
Well, here comes the witch again.
Ah, hello, children.
It was Miss Nelson!
How about we play a little song? Oh, did you miss me, children?
We certainly did.
Oh, did you miss me, children? Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Where were you?
Ah, that's my little secret. How about this? Let's have a story hour.
Oh, yes!
Mm.
And Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour that day, no one was rude or silly.
I wonder, what brought about this lovely change in behavior?
That's our little secret. And back home, Miss Nelson, she took off her coat. She hung it in the closet. And it was right next to an ugly black dress. When it was time for bed, she sang a little song.
Oh, I'll never tell my secret.
But wait! Detective McSmog is on a new case. The case of the missing Miss Viola Swamp. The end.